obviously the traditional gameplay in Metal Gear where you get into your armored vans or your robot suit and you fight against other vans is a very exciting and fun kind of gameplay, but I wanted to keep that in the game as well, but I also at the same time thought it would be a great idea to use them in a slightly different way as well. So you have them as this really imposing, really powerful, frightening enemy that will turn up, and you've got to take them on with very little on the way of weaponry of your own. So, and thinking away, how am I going to get out of that situation? How am I going to escape from something this big and this powerful? And I thought it'd be a great idea to use them in that sense in the game as well. So that's why I had the idea of having you on foot in the game too. But obviously, if there was nothing but that and you just continued having to run away from these big bullying, powerful enemies all the time, that would get a bit too much and it'd be a bit hard on the player. So I really want to add that extra element of halfway through, okay, you finally get your own robot suit and then you can get your revenge, as it were, on all these guys who've been picking on you the whole time. You can have this enjoyment of going back and really showing them what for using the robot suits, and to have that emotional low going to an emotional high. So, and also the idea that you can have defeat enemy vans with just a man on his own using ingenuity is also a great thing for the game. So I mean, originally Mr. Shinkawa was only actually contracted to do the designs for the 3 main characters, but he kept making more suggestions, and eventually he asked to do the major NPCs for the game as well. He drew the basic designs for the characters for the major NPC characters as well. Did a bit of help out on the adjusting of the character modeling too, so he got a lot more involved in the project. So it all turned out really well, actually, the timing-wise for this project, because our director, Mr. Nabeshima, had quit his old company, come to work at Square Enix, and also I'd heard pretty much the same time Mr. Shinkawa had left his previous job and was now working at Kojima Productions. So it would be a great opportunity to try and get these guys together to make a new Front Mission, and that's where all the discussions started from. Okay, so Front Mission has always been previously a simulation kind of strategic kind of game. And when we got together, we had a lot of discussions with the new staff on the team who hadn't worked on Front Mission before, including myself, of course. We all sat down and tried to decide, well, what kind of things we want to do to update and to change the game and the franchise. And obviously, I've previously worked on a lot of action games. I felt perhaps one of the best fit would be to add more action elements into the game. But obviously we didn't want to lose some of the great stuff that Front Mission had before, the very deep, complex stories and some of the really great, appealing characters that it's got. So very much wanted to keep those in there, but to be something that would appeal to the fans of the series as well, while adding an action element on top of it. So that's the rough approach that we took when we decided to update the game. The thing is, you don't have to rescue any other civilians you find. You're always given the option to not do that and to leave them to their fate. And what I really wanted to add to this game, what I think this does add to the game, is that enjoyment out of thinking about how you're going to approach each situation and then the different choices given to the player. So they may sometimes give you a reward for saving them, they may help you or give you an item or something. A lot of the times they won't. So you always have to think to yourself, even you're in a very perilous situation anyway, you've got a lot of pressure on you, and do you use your limited resources in that situation to save someone else who you find in the same situation as you? Do you think you're not going to do that? Do you save them because you think you're going to get something back from them? Or are you going to be completely selfless and then save them anyway? And I really wanted people to think about that and worry about that and add that kind of element of decision making and moral decision making to the gameplay process.